of Senate, State, and Local Government. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Byrd, Senator Harper Angel, Senator Mays Bledsoe, Senator McDaniel, Senator Storm, Senator Thayer, Senator Wheeler, Senator Williams, Senator Nemes,
Present.
Senator Mills.
I'm here, and we have our quorum. We've got a very packed agenda here today, so if you are testifying today, if you can just keep it to the high level presentation to enable us to ask you any questions, we'll try to make it through our agenda here really quick. First on the item on the agenda is Senate Bill 241. Senator Webb has the commissioner with her, and if you can introduce yourself, and the floor is yours.
Senator Robin Webb, District 18, and I have some folks with me today, the stakeholders in the legislation.
Hello, I'm Heather Majors Jeffs. I'm with the Nature Conservancy in Kentucky.
Okay.
Thank you.
Rich Storm, Commissioner, Kentucky Fish and Wildlife.
Very good.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Briefly, many of you remember last year's Senate Bill 217, which gave Fish and Wildlife autonomy in certain areas of procurement and other issues. This bill kind of clarifies some of the transitional issues and conflicts that we've had with finance and implementing the intent of Senate Bill 217. And then one of the most important pieces to me, if you recall, it also had a component regarding a 3-state elk habitat initiative where the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation contributed money. The Nature Conservancy is a great partner working with Tennessee and Virginia in establishing this. It's got support all over the state and all over America. And this just, it's been perhaps slow walked a little bit by finance in case, and this gives us the tools. Thank you, Mr. Leader.
We have a motion from Senator Thayer, a second from Senator Nemes. Okay. Before we move forward, we do have a committee sub that we need
Yes.
to adopt as well.
Motion on
do.
the committee sub.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the committee sub. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion on the bill.
Now we already had a motion. We had a motion.
We didn't have one.
We didn't have one. Sorry. The yes, correct. So now we're open to a motion from Senator
Motion on the sub.
from Pike has a motion on the bill as amended by the sub. Do we have a second? We have a second from Senator Thayer. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Byrd, Senator Harper Angel, Senator Mays Bledsoe, Senator McDaniel, Senator Nemes,
Aye.
Senator Storm, Senator Thayer, Senator Wheeler,
Aye.
Senator Thayer votes aye.
thank you, Senator Williams, Senator Mills.
I vote aye. Okay, how you doing? Okay, Senate Bill 241 as amended by the committee sub passes with favorable expression, with the expression that the same shall pass on to the Senate floor 8-0. Thank you so much, Senator Webb.
Thank you, members, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair.
Next is Senate Bill 75. Senator Thayer. Okay, and we do have someone to speak behind you as well, Senator Thayer. You can introduce yourself for the record, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Damon Thayer, Senate District 17, which now includes 11 terrific precincts in Fayette County. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I don't sponsor a lot of bills, but occasionally when I see a wrong that needs to be rightened, I rise to the point of personal privilege to express my indignation in the form of legislation, and that would be Senate Bill 75. We're all familiar with the recent parking rate increase controversy in Lexington. Businesses downtown are still struggling to recover post-COVID shutdown, lockdown, etc. I passed a resolution that you all voted for that urged Lex Park and Lexington City Council to work together to bring the fees back in line and eliminate the evening and weekend parking fees. There are a lot of great places to eat and shop around Fayette County. A lot of places outside New Circle Road that don't charge parking. Downtown, of course, we do charge for parking, but I thought that the rate increases that were brought to my attention were pretty extreme. I was glad to see that Lex Park and the council worked together to deal with the situation, but it unearthed a different situation, and that is we've got a public entity here, unelected, not accountable to the voters, setting parking rates, passing a budget, and in accordance with something that I've been very consistent on. I have a big problem when unelected boards can raise taxes and fees and spend money without being accountable to some sort of elected body. We worked on Senator Wheeler's library bill, same concept, same philosophy. And so it's Senate Bill 75 simply says that the budgets for Lex Park and any future parking rate increases need to be approved by City Council. Now, I know there was a time that City Council voted to take that responsibility off their shoulders. But look, if you put your name on the ballot, you need to be ready to make tough decisions when it comes to spending and taxing and fees. So this bill simply puts it back to giving the people of Lexington who are affected by these a voice in the matter. So I ask for your support on Senate Bill 75.
Motion on the bill.
Okay, we have a motion from Senator Wheeler, second from Senator Nemus. Senator Thayer, there is someone behind you to speak from Lex Park, James Frazier.
I can't wait.
If he could come up here and, sir, if you have about maybe 2 minutes or so, if you could kind of explain your position, we'd be happy to hear from you.
That's a nice suit.
Thank you. You as well, sir.
Lawyer suit.
Indeed. Thank you for your time. I am James Frazier, Chair of the Parking Authority in Lexington, Fayette County, Kentucky. I am one of those unelected people that the Senator refers to. We were formed in 2006 to take over the parking for the city of Lexington. The garages were falling down. They were dangerous. They were not lit well. And the on-street enforcement was non-existent. It's a 6-person board. We are not elected. You're correct, Senator. And one of the persons on the board represents the mayor's office, Commissioner of Finance. It rotates. But the mayor appoints us. We serve at the pleasure of the mayor. And so we do have someone we do answer to. The reason the city came to us or created this entity, they wanted to get out of the parking business. They didn't, because they weren't doing a good job. It just, the money that was going out was taxpayer money. Today, there is no taxpayer money being utilized to take care of the garages downtown and to enforce on-street parking. It's all revenue driven, not 90%, but 100%. We get no money from the government, no money from the state, no money from anyone. It's all strictly from revenues we create on our own. Now, the question I ask is, why did they get out of the parking business? I think they wanted to have a separate, distinct entity, much like the airport board, much like what we have in Louisville, which is the same entity. They are self-controlled, self-disciplined, and they have their own bylaws. And I will give all the due credit to you, Senator. I agree that the rollout was horrific. It was horrible. It wasn't done the way it should have been done, and for that I take full credit for. We should have gotten more buy-in. We should have gotten more stakeholders at the table. And because of that, at our last emergency called meeting, special meeting to agree to adopt the agreement that I worked out with Mayor Gorton, that we now have in our bylaws that we are required to take any potential rate increase to the government, Lexington Fayette Urban County government, at least 60 days ahead of time to give them a heads up. and to give them an idea if they want to call people in to get stakeholders' approval and stakeholders' input. It's not that we don't want that. It's simply, I think, the purpose of this bill of what was created initially, it's going to gut why we're here. And the reason we did the rate increase, and you all know this better than I do, we got hit with a perfect storm in Fayette County. The city, along with the University of Kentucky, entered into an agreement to take some property in Coldstream. Well, in return for that Coldstream property, Lexington and Fayette Urban County government had to give up something. They gave up 200 of our prime parking places around UK. That's real dollars to this parking authority. 400 some odd $1,000 a year just wiped out and gone, okay? That happens to us. And then the second thing happens to us, we've had some issues downtown with security, as you all well know. So we have gone to our own budgets and put a line item in of $150,000 a year for additional security to help us patrol the downtown garages at night, midnight to 4 a.m. Because there are some things going on, at least in the summertime, that merited that. That's a permanent line item expense for this parking authority that never existed before. So you have those two, loss of revenue, more expenses, and like the rest of us in private sector, cost of labor's gone up, and the garages are costing us a fortune. The garages eat money. They're worse than the horse business. It's 24/7, and it's. I mean, you know that, Senator. It's $1 million a year, and so you pay for those expenses. You pay for that safety. You pay for all that with the revenue made on the street.
Okay, Mr. Frazier, Senator Wheeler has a question.
Sir, I guess what my question would be is, what about this bill prevents you from doing your job? All he's asking is for the responsible political parties that run the city is simply agree or disagree or ask you to reform or have some input, people that are sent there by the public, your policy. So, I mean, aren't the elected officials the best evidence of buy-in by the community and the community leaders?
Well, yes and no. Absolutely. And as I said before, anytime the mayor wants a resignation from us, it's there. We serve at the pleasure of her right now and her predecessors. And right now, in our own bylaws, we are required, self-reported, to go to the government and give them 60 days notice that we're contemplating doing something. This bill, though, goes further. I have to get permission. I have to get their approval. That puts them back in the game with me. They're now my business partner in the parking, and I don't think that's what that local government wanted. And we'll say this, and I know that the senator referred to it, and I do appreciate, believe it or not, you bringing these things to the attention of all of us. The government and myself and my board got together in a room and worked out a deal. Local people, local problems, we worked out our own issues. Home rule's always been the way it is. With all due respect, I don't think we need Frankfurt to tell our local people how to deal with our problems. And they were an issue, Senator, I agree with you. But look at the rate increase, it's 50 cents an hour. I mean, we hadn't had a rate increase since 2008. So it's not, and I'm not going to lie, we did pass on the 6%
and that's
sales
fine.
tax.
Everything you're just saying is fine. But I mean, again, sounds like, at least from what you're telling us here today, that you're making responsible decisions. At least, I mean, I haven't looked into it, but that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
So why would not the elected political leaders who are answerable to the voters, all Senator Thayer's asking for is a little bit of buy-in from the people that appoint you, that oversee you, and to keep things on the track. I mean, what if Mayor Gordon said she didn't like what you all were going to do?
Well, only thing I would say to that is that it's not so much that I oppose what the bill is,
Well, then
but
good.
I think
Let's
it's moot. I think it's moot. That's the problem. We don't need more regulations. I'm not a big government guy. Okay, I'm going to admit that's my bias. I'm not.
Okay, Mr. Frazier, Senator Thayer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Jim, I appreciate your testimony today. I appreciate the fact that you're here. This is the reason I sponsor a bill like this from time to time. And I appreciate the fact that you admitted that the rollout was botched.
Absolutely.
And I agree with you on local control, but business owners downtown felt like they had no other recourse. And I guess they know how indignant I can get from time to time, so they reached out to me. So, and also, Mr. Chairman, on the record, I never said Lex Park doesn't do a good job. As somebody who dines out often in downtown Lexington, I use your facilities, and I understand the security issues you're having to face. This is good conversation we've had here today, but I would appreciate the support of members of the committee. I think we should get the bill out of committee and then we can go from there. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a call for a question. We have a motion and a second. Senator Berg, you have just a short comment or question?
The difference between being responsive to the mayor of Lexington and responsive to the elected officials that you feel should be the people responsible to. Can you explain just a little bit what the difference in that structure is? If it's not the mayor, yeah, who is an elected official, how does this change that?
Sure. Senator Bledsoe, how many people serve in each council district on Lexington City Council? I'd like those people to be involved in the decision making as well. Not just the mayor, but the people who represent on the city council, the legislative body of the city of Lexington. And thank you for helping me out
Quick
there.
follow-up, quick.
So does that mean that the Legislative Council of the City of Lexington will be the one responsible for overseeing the parking authority and collecting the revenue and doing the repairs? Are they the ones that now take this responsibility upon themselves?
No, not at all. It's just an approval mechanism. Their budgets would be approved by the city council, and any parking rate increases in the downtown properties managed by Lex Park would be approved by the city council.
Okay.
The legislative branch, not the executive.
Yeah, we'll call for a question twice. We've asked questions. We have two. We have a motion and a second. So, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Berg,
Explain my no vote, please.
You may.
I just don't understand, honestly. I mean, to me, this is a real overreach. We're supposed to be empowering local governments, and I don't understand why this is even our business, so I'm a no, but thank you very much for bringing the issue. I do want to say, just so you all know, I am a graduate of University of Kentucky. I absolutely love Lexington. It's a wonderful city, and thank you for everything you're doing.
Senator Harper Angel, Senator Mays Bledsoe,
Yes, you may.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate both sides of this particular issue, having served now in two roles on different sides. And Mr. Frazier does a phenomenal job. And I think you've addressed many of the things we've talked about over the last couple of years. And I want to applaud yours and the mayor's efforts to get to a resolution that made sense. I support the resolution. I support Senator Thayer's interest, dedication, and honestly, getting people to the table and getting it done. I think this goes a step too far, having sat on that seat, but I'm not going to stand in the way, so I'm going to pass.
Senator McDaniel, Senator Nemes,
Aye.
Senator Storm,
Aye.
Senator Thayer,
Aye.
Senator Wheeler,
Aye.
Senator Williams,
Aye.
Senator Mills.
I vote aye. 771, yeah. Okay. Very good. Senate Bill 75 passes with favorable expression. The same shall pass on the Senate floor. 7 yeses, 1 pass, and 1 no. Thank you, Senator Thayer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Thank you.
All right. Next up is Senate Bill 123. Senator Turner is patiently waiting there. Senator Turner, if you could come forward and give us your name and give us a short explanation of your bill. We've got about 6 more bills to go with about 35 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Johnny Turner from the 29th District. This bill is very simple. Back in 2010, when COVID hit, the notaries got going from one state to another, got basically shut down because of that and had to Zoom. You all passed the bill. Before these out-of-state thing could be done, because Secretary of State's office, through the governor, gave a special commission. I passed a letter out to you all from the director that explains it very well.
I believe everybody's got a letter
Yeah,
from
and
Senator Turner.
Very simple. The ladies and gentlemen, I've taken hundreds of depositions in Tennessee because people get hurt and whatever, you go down there for treatment. They can't go out of state and notarize it, but they can Zoom into it still. So this bill says, no, you can go out of state and do it. She approves it, and I want you to know, the man from California that's over the national called me personally. He has sent Philip Wheeler, Senator Wheeler, a letter, a note, I got it, that he wanted to talk to him about it, but he called me and said that they approved it nationally. Said, we're glad because we're going to do this in other states. So it's a real short bill, just trying to correct a wrong.
Very good. Any questions for Senator Turner?
Motion. Motion on the bill.
We have a motion from Senator McDaniel, second from Senator Storm. Any further questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Byrd,
Aye.
Senator Harper Angel, Senator Mays Bledsoe, Senator McDaniel, Senator Nemus,
Aye.
Senator Storm,
Aye.
Senator Thayer, Senator Wheeler,
Senator Fair.
Senator Williams, Senator Mills.
I vote aye. Senate Bill 123 passes with favorable expression, with the expression that the same shall pass on the Senate floor. 10-0. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, would we like to... Oh, sorry, I had the wrong vote. 9-0. We are doing consent now. Is there a motion for consent? We have a motion from Senator Nemus, second from Senator Storm for consent. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed to consent? Senator Turner, your bill's on consent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Last time I parked in Lexington just to eat, it was, I believe, it was $6 or $8. So I'm glad Senator Thayer's got.
All right, Senator Higdon is here. He's not on our committee, waiting patiently. If you'd like to come forward, we'll do your resolution. Senator Higdon, if you can state your name and district for the record, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jimmy Higdon, State Senator, 14th Senate District. This Senate Joint Resolution gives the PPOB the authority to have a subcommittee to look at certain aspects of our retirement system. And Mr. Chairman, as you are aware, and several on the committee, we just underwent an actuarial audit of all three of the systems, and those actuaries made recommendations. We need to review that audit and look at those recommendations, and also we need to further define the role of CERS, KRS, and KPPA. We did that legislation a few years ago, and there's still a few rough spots we need to discuss and work out, and also to evaluate options for coordinating and consolidating and making our pension systems more efficient. And that's simply what it does. It creates a subcommittee of PPOB.
Very good. Any questions for Senator Higdon? We have
On the bill.
we have a motion from Senator Wheeler. Is there a second?
Second.
A second from Senator Byrd. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Byrd, Senator Harper Angel, Senator Mays Bledsoe, Senator McDaniel, Senator Nemus,
Aye.
Senator Storm,
Aye.
Senator Thayer, Senator Wheeler,
Aye.
Senator Williams, Senator Mills.
I vote aye. Senate Joint Resolution 83 passes with favorable expression, with the expression that the same shall pass on the Senate floor. 9-0. Motion for consent. Okay, we have a motion from Senator Thayer for consent. Is there a second? Second from Senator Nemus. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Your resolution passes onto the consent agenda. Senator
Thank you,
Higdon.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
All right, we have two bills from Senator Mays Bledsoe. If she'd like to come forward, we'll have two for her. And while she's making her way down to the desk, we're going to pass over Senate Bill 196 at this point, and that will probably be back next week. Senator Bledsoe, you can have your choice which one you'd like to start with. That'll be fine.
Sure. This is, thank you, Chairman Mills and members of the committee. I'm here to speak about Senate Bill 206.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm joined here with City Attorneys Roger Wright and David Barbary in case you have any technical questions. In my previous role, I actually served on Lexington City Employee Pension Board, and it's been nearing the end of its cycle for a very long time, and actually still just a few members are receiving actual annuities. And due to previous legislation, even though the General Assembly has no direct oversight over the city's pension plan, we do have to come and ask for legislative changes to make any changes to it. So I'm here asking for two specific changes. One, we'd like to raise the minimum monthly annuity to $1,500 from $1,250. And secondly, it allows the pension board the discretion to increase the minimum payment in the future every 2 years, not more than 10% above the federal poverty guidelines. This impacts 6 individuals, all widows and spouses. We've not raised this amount since 2005.
Motion on the bill.
We have a motion from Senator McDaniel, a second from Senator Thayer. And just to make this clear, this does not interfere with any of our state run pensions. It's a Lexington only pension
Correct.
fund, correct?
Correct.
Okay, very good. Gentlemen, do you have anything to add? We have a motion and a second. Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Byrd. Senator Harper Angel. Senator Mays Bledsoe. Senator McDaniel. Senator Nemus.
Aye.
Senator Storm.
Aye.
Senator Thayer.
I'd like to explain my vote, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, you may.
I'm going to vote yes, and I'd like to point out that this is a situation where something that happened in the city of Lexington requires the approval of those of us who work here in Frankfort. Excellent bill, and I vote aye.
Senator Wheeler. Aye. Senator Williams. Aye. Senator Mills.
I vote aye. Senate Bill 206 passes with favorable expression, with the expression that the same shall pass on the Senate floor. 9 yeses, 0 noes. Would anybody care on consent? Is it a motion for consent? From Senator Berg, a second from Senator Thayer. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? This item moves to our consent agenda. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Senator, you can go ahead to 141.
Thank you. And this is Senate Bill 141, and I'm joined with J.D. Cheney to explain any technical changes. This bill makes 2 important changes to how code enforcement liens may be enforced to streamline collections and help cities eliminate blighted and vacant buildings to provide more affordable homes and viable business use. In particular, there's 2 things. One, if cities prepare their property tax bills and do the property tax collections themselves, they can include the amount of any outstanding code enforcement lien on the bill. The lien must be treated and listed as a separate item on the bill and may not be considered part of the underlying ad valorem tax liability. And 2, if it's not paid on the day, it's only enforced through traditional code enforcement lien process, which is really important. Secondly, the legislation permits the city to use the provisions of the Mass Foreclosure Act to enforce uncollected code enforcement liens in the same manner that cities can use the provisions to enforce unpaid property taxes. This allows properties of defunct nonprofits that have become blighted, other vacant and properties without outstanding tax liabilities, or properties that are not being maintained with unknown heirs to be included in these court procedures where due process is important. This actually is a really neat bill. It's a very important bill. We do this in Lexington. It was very effective.
Very good. Mr. Cheney, would you like to say anything?
I think Senator Bledsoe did a great job of summarizing the provisions.
Okay. Senator McDaniel has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Guys, on Section 1, subparagraph 2, when you use those statutes, does that in any way change the priority of liens, mortgages, mechanics liens, et cetera? Is there any risk that we're going to mess around if somebody was already in first position and potentially bump them there?
It does not. This does not. Now, the statutes on code enforcement liens address that priority, so the citations, but this would not change any priority for delinquent state or local property tax liens or other types of liens. This does not deal with priority. The statutes permit all sizes of cities to use the Mass Foreclosure Act on delinquent property tax liens, so those statutory citations there go to code enforcement. This does not impact lien priority in the slightest, Senator.
Gotcha. So we're not bumping a mortgage
We're not
holder
bumping.
or something like that. Okay, very well. Move approval.
Okay. Senator Nemes has a question, then we'll get a motion.
So the portion that goes on the tax bill is actually just showing the property owner that they owe other than property tax.
Correct.
Yes,
Thank
sir,
you.
Senator.
It is. So we have a motion from Senator McDaniel. Is there a second? Second. There's a second from Senator Thayer. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Berg. Senator Harper Angel. Senator Mays Bledsoe. Senator McDaniel.
Aye.
Senator Nemus.
Aye.
Senator Storm.
Aye.
Senator Thayer. Senator Wheeler. Senator Williams. Senator Mills.
I vote aye. Senate Bill 141 passes with favorable expression. The expression the same shall pass on the Senate floor 9-0. We have a motion for consent from Senator Thayer, second from Senator Nemes. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? This item moves to our consent agenda. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you very much.
Cheney. Okay, our final item is a bill that I am carrying, and I'll move down here to the table, make a few comments, and let our Vice Chair, Senator Nemes, take the chair. I guess I shouldn't say that. Either way.
Next on the agenda is Senate Bill 190. State your name and
I'm Senator Robbie Mills, represent the 4th Senate District in Northwest Kentucky.
J.D. Cheney with the Kentucky League of Cities.
proceed, please.
Thank you. Senate Bill 90 makes several changes to the statutes to require city governments to make any changes affecting the conduct of its elections before the time for filing for the office occurs, to inform candidates of how the election will be held. And it makes these are things that have come up in the last year during the election cycle, small minor changes. I would almost classify this as a cleanup bill.
Please turn off any cell phones.
Yes, sir.
I don't know how that happened.
But be happy to answer any questions. JD's here, obviously, to talk about any questions you might have for him.
I'm happy to answer any questions. There were a few instances where there's no dates for changing the number of council members that sit on a council seat, and we had a city that changed the number of council seats prior to the election. We need to set rules that say, if you're going to make these changes, you need to do it before the filing starts, so people know what ward they're running for, whether you're going to have a whether you're going to have a primary election or not. So that was a Freudian slip about the partisan, or whether you're going to change the number of council members. So it just sets this before the filing deadline opens on that date.
Senator Thayer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question for Mr. Cheney. So are you saying that giving voters more information about city elections and who they're voting for is actually a good step in the right direction? I just want to make it clear, get you on the record.
Mr. Leader, what I'm saying is that candidates who file for office ought to know what they're running for. If you're going to eliminate a primary, how many council seats you have to open or run. You can't reduce them, or if you do that in the middle of a term, then you don't know, the candidates who are filing for office don't know what they're filing for.
Follow up, if I may, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead.
Don't you think ultimately, though, that's the kind of extra information that the voters like to have?
Candidates certainly need to know what they're filing for. Voters certainly deserve to be informed about the way that elections are conducted.
Sounds like a really good endorsement for Senate Bill 50. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Berg.
So a point of clarification. I'm not sure which one of you could answer this for me, but in our last general election, and this is just for counties, is my understanding. So this wouldn't impact like state elections, but we obviously had this problem with our last election where many of us filed in multiple districts to make sure that we would actually have a seat to file in, and people who had filed found out they no longer had a seat. Will this bill address those problems on a statewide level, or are we going to leave our constituents again in the dark as to who represents them on the statewide level? Thank you.
This particular bill does not. It addresses occurrences in city governments, small, medium-sized city governments. But I'd be happy to talk with you about that situation and see if we can work through that. We've got some time, and so I'd be happy to talk with you about those situations.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Senator Byrd,
Aye.
Senator Harper Angel, Senator Mays Bledsoe, Senator McDaniel, Senator Nemus,
Aye.
Senator Storm,
Aye.
Senator Thayer,
Aye.
Senator Wheeler, Senator Williams,
Aye.
Senator Mills.
Senate Bill 190 passes with a 9-0 vote. We have a motion for consent by Senator Williams. We have a second by Senator McDaniels. So, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Opposed to consent. I'm sorry, I'm opposed to consent. I haven't, I think this deserves some discussion on the floor.
It's completely unrelated to what we're talking about, though, Karen.
On the microphone, so.
Mr. Chairman, I need to register a vote.
Okay, go ahead.
I'd like to be recorded as voting aye on Senate Bill 241.
Thank you.
So just to be clear, that that will we. So this will move to the floor for a vote and discussion. Everybody has to be in agreement for it to be on consent. Senator Byrd is not in agreement, so we'll have it on the floor. Any other questions or things to come for our committee? If not, we'll stand adjourned.